All right, this is official.
All right, so I looked over the contract. Joe has agreed to pay me $500,000 a year, and
that's if he wins the Olympia.
yeah.
The small prints in there.
Yeah. What if I help train someone? No,
because that's likely.
That's more likely. All right.
Fifth year, boom.
Fifth year.
That's awesome.
It's almost like a life sentence.
Yes, sign your life away.
Job done.
All right. Is that your longest running contract, Brad? Because you've had contract before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I first got in the sport, I was signed by Universal.
That's right. That's right.
It was like a lifelong dream of mine to be with one company for forever. You know, and I made it 3 years of them, and they let me go. And so I wanted to make sure my next home was a place that I was going to stay with. I'm about integrity and long-term relationships. It's not about cashing out right away or whatever it may be or whatever's hot in the pan. I wanted to find someone that wanted to support me and have the same views long-term. And so this is.
It's not easy.
No,
I was just talking to Sergio, a few days ago,
right.
and that's why he's starting his own thing. He says, I'm so sick and tired of. You know what he said though, and I'm going to tell you on this on camera, Joe, because he just told me this as I just saw him last Tuesday. He said, God damn it, it's too bad I met Joe when I did meet him, because if it wasn't for me starting my own company, I would have loved to be with 80. I swear he said that. So.
He's a good, you know what, he's a really good-hearted kid. I call him a kid, he's not a kid, but I mean, people who follow understand the athlete. That's why I don't sign someone on a whim. I like to spend time with them and get to know them.
Yeah.
So I knew with Brad, we had multiple conversations. And it's like, where's the long-term vision? Because I'm all about 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Do our goals align? And then it's the time pacing. How do we get there so we time everything right?
You can't do it in a year.
And I've
it
done it
takes
with
time.
every athlete. Jamie Dorigo is probably going to qualify for the Olympia. I signed him when he won his first regional show. Now he turned pro last year and now he's out in Oxygen. He'll probably qualify for 212 Olympia. But we sat down and I was like, if you just listen, in 3 years this is where we're going to be. And it's just right on point. I think with Sergio, he's had a lot of companies. It's like, here's your contract, put these posts up, go away and do it. If you don't do it, then you're going to butt heads. Whereas that's not how you have a relationship with an athlete. You work together. The athlete, I always say that, the athlete is the star of the show. The brand's in the background, you support each other. I don't think Sergio's had that, and I don't think, honestly, any real companies do that anymore.
I know.
It's all about Insta-famous clicks and likes, and it's let's rinse and repeat.
He noticed, and I was actually really glad when he said that. I thought it was a huge compliment. He said the same thing to you?
Because I was down there last Saturday
Oh, okay.
and I told him
That's great.
For 5 years, he's like, man, he's like, I really like Joe. He's like, I wish I met him years ago, man.
I know.
Like,
Does that make you feel good to hear that? That's kind of nice.
You know what? Just look after people, and if you're not going to come through on a promise, don't be a dick about it and have a conversation. Say, hey, we're running a little behind. And, it's like you move the goalposts together if you're going to move them. It's like, I've never had a bad real relationship with any athletes, but you do the legwork up front and getting to know them, personality. And also what is around them. Like, what's the support network? Have they got a spouse? Do you get on with the spouse? Like,
because you have to deal with their life. It's not just what one admin. That's right. That's
the biggest thing I can say about Joe is he was always invested in what's going on in my life. Wanted to know how Steph, my wife, my girl, we had just gotten married, and when I signed, how she was doing, how the dogs are doing, how business is going. It's not just about, hey, are you withholding your obligations? It's how are you doing as a human being? And that's the most important thing in creating a relationship.
That's awesome.
So like I said, the support from top to bottom. It's not just a financial thing or here's supplements. He truly cares about your success in life. Like I broke some good news to him the other day, and he was basically in tears in joy, about the things that are going to come about in my life. And that's it's hard to find that in a company that just cares about the bottom line.
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome. Well, I think the message gets through too because you read the messages, and every time I read a good comment on YouTube, I have tendency to take a screenshot of it and send it to you because people really do appreciate it and they see past just the company or the
most important to me.
Yeah.
My reputation comes before profit margins always. Like if I left this industry in 10 years, 15 years time with a shed ton of money in the bank and millions, no one really knew about the story or you're not left any legacy or affected people's lives positively, then what's the point?
That's right.
You've just got money by yourself.
Right.
Whereas you bow out and you've affected a ton of people's lives, you've made all of the people around you who work with you, their lives are better quality. That just passes on, you get that ripple effect to everyone around. And then the next generation will leave those how to treat people coming up and lead by example.
Yeah.
And everything we try and do is with that in mind. It's like what we do today will influence people tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Well, I'm really glad that you got Brad for one more year at least. And then, is this a year contract? You do every year,
yeah, we do every year.
And then,
the reason for that Dave, is because reviews.
Everybody thinks
It's
it's
like
like
every year we like to review progress. You know, like are we still on target for things? Like this year with me living here, Brad's gone way and above. Like with me being able to see exactly what he does for the brand, that's why he put in a list of requests, and I was like, fine, that's good, because he's gone way beyond. You know, some people do the bare minimum. Brad does extra.
yeah.
So
He's a workaholic. He's blue collar through and through, man. He's just like Jay, you know. Just
the whole brand, like this is why Jay will probably do the same with his athletes. He's got the work ethic and he's brought himself through.
yeah.
But all of my guys are hustlers. And we all like want to prove a point that it's like no one had a silver spoon, but we're born with a silver spoon. I've had no investment, I haven't had a backer, I started the company with nothing.
Wow.
It's taken 10 years to get to this point.
Wow.
But all my athletes are the same. You know, Brad came out and took a choice and lived out here. You know, Dominic, well, his story, he's a kid growing up in Brookwood, and all of them. I'm just proud of each one who
You create a good family. It's a family, yeah.
I don't like to use that word, even now, because it's been bastardised by this industry. You know, everyone says a family and then they're bitching about each other on social media.
That's true. You have to, family have to do that. That's true.
Yeah. While we're on the social media rants, Brad?
Yeah, so I'd like to
Yeah, what happened with you and Palumbo?
discuss. So Dave Palumbo thinks that I took a shot at him, and Dave, this isn't a shot at you or who you are or your knowledge whatsoever. This was just a shot at what you call a ketogenic diet, which is truly not a ketogenic diet. You give someone a zero carb, moderate fat, high protein diet, which is not a medical ketogenic diet. Their bodies are not in true ketosis. So when my reference was, I don't do this bullshit bodybuilder ketogenic diet like you promote, it wasn't a knock on you and your approach. It was just saying that I approach my diet from a true ketogenic standpoint where I'm getting 70 to 80% of my caloric intake from fats and 20 or so from protein with trace carbs from vegetables and such, or things from nuts and guacamole and stuff like that. So it wasn't a knock on you. And you know, some of the information that you put out there, unfortunately, Dave, higher amounts of protein creates glyconeogenesis, which turns into glucose, which pulls you out of ketosis. So you're never going to be in true ketosis unless you're eating a much higher amount of fats than you are protein. So that's one thing that I just kind of wanted to point out there.
Yeah, gluconeogenesis is demand driven. About 60% of protein, once you get above that 30 gram threshold, there's a propensity to convert to glucose, which is a huge amount. Now, you can be in ketosis just by fasting for a day. You can eat 100, 200, 300, 400 grams of carbs fast for 24 hours and your body will start producing ketones. You're not getting the benefit of ketosis from that. You know, you can say you're producing ketones. You can take exogenous ketones and have ketones present in your blood because your body using them if it's on a carbohydrate-based diet. So there's a lot of misinformation about it. You can do keto a million different ways if you're just looking to detect ketones. but to have mental clarity, consistent blood glucose levels, and sufficient amounts of protein, which is way lower, like 0.7. I've done a lot of work on keto diets, 0.7 grams per pound of true lean mass is normally about enough to max it out. 0.7 to 0.8. 1.5 is not really needed. And when you're not using glucose as a fuel substrate unless you're actually training intensely. And at that point, you can have free-form amino acids, because most people will take essential aminos, which can be converted regularly for glucose. Or if you've got high ketones, I actually tested this with a number of athletes going into the session. Your body will use those ketones. You'll probably be out of ketosis after training, because your body's going to dump some glucose from the liver because it needs some glycogen. But half an hour later, if you're truly fat adapted, ketone levels bounce straight back up. So there's not enough knowledge in the bodybuilding industry about ketogenic diets.
Yeah.
And what also, it's like, what happens with Dave's diets, because I've done them, and I know a bunch of people who have over the years, it's more cardio, and you're getting prepped, but then all the fats are gone. So you're on a protein sparing modified fast essentially. You end up with zero fats and just protein, and that's all gluconeogenic activity. When you're in a deficit, your body's primed to look for glucose, the first thing it's going to look for is muscle tissue, as opposed to programming the body to burn on fat, and then it'll look for body fat first. It's like, what are you conditioning your body for? What fuel substrate? If you're just on high protein and no fats towards the end of your diet, the first thing it's going to look for is tissue. Whereas if you're very fat adapted and fat dominant, it's still going to look for adipose.
So my experiment last year, I did this for an entire year, true ketogenic dieting. I would do carb refeeds probably every 10 to 14 days. There were spans I went over 30 days without it. And I prepped for 14 weeks for Japan. I went from being on true TRT, fasting 16, 18 hours a day, going into this prep. And I went from about 235 and got up to 270, doing about 180 to 200 grams of protein. And I stepped on stage 7 pounds heavier in Japan than I did the year before in Romania after doing a normal, traditional bodybuilding diet. So Dave's assumption that you can't build muscle without high amounts of protein, I debunked that as well. And I'm going to say it straight up, my drugs were less than they were in the prep before. So it's about providing your body with the proper macronutrients it needs in order to be sufficient and build tissue, and being truly fat adapted and using those fats properly.
Yeah.
The protein, you need some, but we consume way more than we traditionally need.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you debunked or at least responded to what he had to say, because I didn't think it was personal either when he said it.
They've done studies with fat adapted athletes like Jacob Wilson and Dr. Ryan Lowry have done studies where they've shown that they've gained as much muscle participants on ketogenic diets as a standard American diet. It's
so unconventional that it's hard to believe. But when he told me, when we did the first video actually with him at the house, I saw how it looked good, and I was like, well, obviously it's working. So
you've got to be open-minded. Because, everything changes.
That's right.
20 years ago, if you said if you'll be electric cars on the road,
I know.
I mean, don't be silly, that's crazy talk. Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Or use an electric machine.
I was just gonna say that everything he seems to be doing is just very it's new, and it's new technology, and that's right, it's progressive, exactly.
Well, the thing is that the best thing maybe for bodybuilding, I'm a traditionalist. I love bodybuilding for bodybuilding's sake. I want everything about it. I love it. It's what I do the traditional hard diets and carbs.
You're a purist, like keto.
Yeah, I love it. But look at the industry now. It's shifted. 1 million more people are competing active, and they're in a lot of divisions that are not just super heavyweight bodybuilders like Dave was, who's a very good one. But they have a life. So for cognition, they might be a doctor, they might be an office worker. They can't have the blood sugar fluctuations because it's going to really affect their professional lives. Whereas a different approach, where you have constantly steady blood glucose levels, wonderful cognition, brain runs phenomenally well off the clean energy ketones, that's probably tailored best to them.
I have so many personal clients that, we've experimented with the ketogenic diet, and again, they're busy, they're doctors, they're this, they're that, and they can't believe the energy and the clarity they have and their ability to get through the day without having the crashes in energy and blood glucose. You know, me personally, I went back this prep, I'm doing a more traditional prep. I'm doing carbs this time because I'm an experimenter. I experimented the whole year last year, and I want to see how much more muscle I can potentially put on using the newbie training now and eating higher protein. I'm still only doing 6 or 7 ounces.
You're like your own guinea pig.
and carbs with the machine to see how much more I can grow in this prep.
I like it.
But for me personally, I feel so much better on a true ketogenic dieting. You know, I can, especially with me working, 7, 8 clients a day. I'm in here all day. The last thing I want to do is sit down and eat a fucking huge bowl of rice while I'm trying to train clients. I can have a couple whole eggs and some avocado and some macadamia nut oil.
More convenient
and pound it down like that.
Yeah.
And it just makes my life so much more convenient.
Yeah.
And again, the energy and the digestion. No bloat, no gas. My stomach was tiny. Now I'm like, I feel like I'm 9 months pregnant and I've only had 2 meals today. About 350 grams of carbs. So for a lifestyle thing, people need to try to think outside the box as well.
And your insulin sensitivity when you do choose to use carbohydrates is phenomenal.
Through the roof. Yeah.
Ridiculous glucose uptake, muscle fullness. It's crazy.
So the moral of the story is have an open mind. Don't dismiss something before you try it because it may be right for you.
Right.
In about anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, lifestyle, training, personal zone, physiology, the state, the metabolic health, the metabolic state. It's all very interesting.
And everybody's body's different. I've had clients where blood work came back absolutely piss poor. Lipids through the roof, cholesterol high because of the higher fat diets. Then I've had clients that had actually improved, cholesterol, lipid profile, and everything else. So some people's body just can't digest and break down the fats properly. Some people's can.
That's right.
So it's an experiment. You're going to find out what works for different people.
That's right.
And
We'll do a separate video.
Yes.
The way people look at blood work, it's all. Like now it's like, look at the changing stance of cholesterol even now with dietary regulation, it's a lot softer on it.
But again, if you fast for 24 hours, your cholesterol and your LDL levels will completely drop. They're insignificant. It's a dietary thing. Your HDL is the only thing that's not a true dietary response of what you ate the day before or whatever. So everything fluctuates.
Yeah.
So you need to test under the same conditions all the time too to get accurate readings.
That's right. All right, you guys. You gonna hit some back?
Get it?
Okay. Oh, are we taking any? What is it? What's in that?
Oh, so we got there's about 80 grams of carbs here from Raging Full, which is a cyclic dextrin, and about 34 grams of aminotor, which is EAA, BCAA, and 1 scoop of nitrox, which is our non-stimulant pump formula.
What about Justin? Does he have anything, or did you already take your pre-workout?
He ate like
You're good to go?
calories for breakfast. He's good for another hour.
He just uses food. Maybe I'll take a post-workout. I told you, I said, make sure you bring his favorite product. Oh, all right.
We had some of it already.
Okay. All right, cool. We're going to hit some back, you guys. Awesome.